All right, good. Co-host Seth, can you hear us?
Yeah, sorry about that, man. Twitter Spaces. The one thing about it is because it's an entirely like separate functionality that they just kind of bolted on. It it can be finicky. It can be very very finicky. Hey, we got max voltage in the chat, man. So
Good deal. Yeah, it's definitely been a challenge. So it kicked me off the phone, and then it wouldn't let me do anything, and I had to get back in. So Spaces is a new technology. Thank you for bearing with us. Looks like Max Voltage is having the same problem because you keep coming in and out. But let's get some more people in here. I'm going to share it out on Twitter. Anybody you want to invite to speak, because this is just a ETH merge minor powwow, and the powwow name came from one of my viewers. Pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and trademark that. But anybody else you think you want to bring on?
oh yeah, no, I mean I think definitely if max voltage can make it back in. We got Alex in the chat too, so blockchain strategies here. So he mentioned he wanted to listen in, but I think I'm going to send the invite to speak anyway in case he wants to chime in. A really great guy out of Florida, so like doing big things, very big in the, and a very big Ethereum Classic proponent. So I think we're probably going to cover that in a minute, man. But Alex, I think we'll give some good arguments for ETH Classic. So, but yeah, anybody else that's like part of the GPU mining fam, I think we should bring on immediately.
Yep, I'm gonna get some invites going out right now. I already sent invites earlier, but of course our buddy Rabbit Mining is live right now as well, so I knew that was going to conflict a little bit. But you know, it's hard to find time in this space. We're all busy people, adulting and doing adult stuff, and very hard to get us together in one spot, especially in such a short notice. But I thank you for everybody joining. The Ethereum merge is, I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of talking about the word Ethereum. I'm tired of saying the word Ethereum, but it is a big change coming into our lives. And so let's chat. Let's talk about it. Let's see here. Twitter Spaces, you suck. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that out loud. Did I say that out loud? I said it out loud. My bad.
It's okay, man. Somebody had to. Okay, so sending a speaker invite over to Max Voltage again. I see Jesper is there as well. Hey, thanks, man. I see Jesper is the head of education at Copenhagen Films. Welcome, man. Welcome. Definitely appreciate that. Oh, we're losing people as fast as we're gaining them. Oh my gosh. Twitter Spaces is bugging out.
Yeah, Twitter Spaces is definitely glitching out hard right now. It looks like they're having the same problem I had, which is you would start it only for it to disconnect you. So, hey guys, glad to be here. Look forward to PoW mining. All right. Did the sound die? Well, no. It seems like people keep getting kicked for some reason. Jesper mentioned.
Yeah, I think what I had to do was I had to force quit the app, as well as all the other apps on my phone, and then I had to relaunch Twitter, and then it worked just fine. So yeah, we might need to just kind of send out the notice. It's funny, Twitter Spaces, when you're finished listening to a room or when the room ends, Twitter Spaces will send a little survey your way. A bit like, you know, when you jump off of, say, like a Google Meet call or a Zoom call, occasionally they'll give you a little survey to ask how it went, like it was technologically smooth, right? If the audio was good, video, whatever else. But Twitter Spaces is having a consistent problem with hosts not being heard, and when people are offered speaker access, sometimes them losing the ability to hear the room as well. So it's growing pains, man.
Yeah, I mean, all these different social media platforms continue to grow. You know, like the whole rating thing on YouTube was a fiasco as well. So as these social media platforms grow and try to integrate new features, it tends to be a pain in the butt. So Max Vultures looks like he's stable now. You good?
Well, my phone, I wasn't able to get onto it on my computer.
So what you got to start it on your phone, and then I think you could join it on your computer, but I'm not sure. I'll let Seth talk to that because this is new technology or new feature to me as well. This is the first Spaces that I wanted to host, but I wanted to bring you on and talk about
thanks.
it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's funny actually. Yeah. Hey, welcome, Max. So it's funny that just to speak to the tech side of Twitter Spaces real fast. I think that it uses like your baseband radio for this chat. Like you'll notice that the audio quality kind of dips as soon as you're made a speaker. Like you can listen on from the desktop app or from the browser, and you can listen from your phone, and it's very, very clear. But as soon as you jump into like interactive mode, it completely changes the audio subsystem that it's using. So I don't know what they're doing. I really don't know how they architected this app, but it's like it goes from like barely usable to like almost unusable the moment you try to conduct a room.
Well, as long as you guys can hear me okay, I'll just stay on the phone. That works.
Yeah, it looks like the phone is the best way to go, and apparently Bluetooth headsets aren't all that. But we do have some people dropping and coming in. It looks like Twitter Space is being so. Let's go. This is being recorded, so that way I could share in the future. So let's try to talk a little bit. So I had a live stream earlier this morning, and we were talking about the Ethereum merge and some of the consequences or some of the concerns that might be happening. And I wanted to have you guys talk a little bit on that. And what I'm referring to is primarily the concerns that the Ethereum merge will go well. So we had a couple of reorgs, we had a couple of issues during some of the forks, previous forks, and devs say not a problem, not worried about it, don't nothing to be concerned about. But this is a big change, and this is a $1 billion market that's about to shift from one to the other. So any type of downtime, interference, and accessibility could cause havoc on the ecosystem. So do you or anybody have any concerns regarding the merge? Do you think the merge is going to go well? Like one article that I'm looking at and featured in today's show says that it should happen within 12 minutes, the merge. It should just be a smooth transition within 12 minutes. I'm not sure about that, but I guess.
Yeah, I've got one little issue. First off, Tom Crown's in this space right now and has put up his hand to speak, and I've attempted to add him as a speaker as fast as I can, but we're moving at the speed of Twitter Spaces, which we've already determined is kind of the bottleneck. But as far as it being like a 12-minute ordeal, Serpent, just getting this going from the former proof of work chain and fully merging the beacon chain and being entirely proof of stake, I've got my doubts, man. So here's where I have concerns, and I didn't have these concerns until maybe about a week and a half ago, when for the day job I needed to set up a test suite for some people, and just basically a skills test, right? Where it was like, hey, I want you to do I want you to bring funds from A to B. I want you to work on this. I want you to sign these transactions. I want you to do a multi-sig, and we were using Gnosis Safe. And I thought, okay, well, obviously I'm going to use testnet, right? Because I want to use testnet tokens. I don't want to burn gas fees in the real world on the main chain just to do this test for my day job. And they only have two options. They've got the Rinkeby testnet on Ethereum. They've got the Guerli testnet on Ethereum. Rinkeby is apparently end of life, right? So Rinkeby will cease to exist as a testnet after the merge. Most people don't know that. Unless you're paying attention to testnets or you have a need to use testnets, but Rinkeby is going to stop functioning. And then Guerli is going to be the testnet that is supposedly the air quotes forever testnet. It will never stop running because they've already simulated a beacon chain merge. There was a testnet beacon chain, and Guerli was the testnet that merged into that testnet beacon chain. Now, on Gnosis Safe, those are your only two options, either Rinkeby or Guerli. Well, Rinkeby, they already end of life. They just gave the heads up, like, hey, we're going to stop supporting this. In the Guerli testnet, that's already had its sort of simulated beacon chain merge, I tried setting up this little skills test. I tried making sure that my day job, I could bring relevant people, right? The key stakeholders that needed to learn how to use this system for multi-sig. I needed to try to teach them. Man, I was banging my head against the wall for like 3 days trying to figure out, why do I keep getting errors? Why is this not going through? Why am I not seeing finality in setting up this vault on Gnosis Safe? Well, I came to find out that it's fundamentally broken. They simulated a beacon chain merge on testnet, and the services So like one of the most important services, multi-sig vaults, is broken, and nobody's talking about this. I'm floored, but that gave me cause for concern. That makes me think, Serpent, that this is not going to take 12 minutes for the beacon chain merge to happen.
I strongly agree, and I think there's plenty of concerns across the board. And it's not that we're trying to spread FUD or anything. It's just, you know, there's not much input or information, like as you mentioned, being highlighted or talked about, right? Everybody's just going about the tokenomics and how proof of stake can be so wonderful and it's less energy intensive. And talking about all the pros, but not all the cons. Max Voltage, do you have any thoughts on the matter regarding, as well as, you know, it going to go smooth and be done within 12 minutes?
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be done within 12 minutes, but I think it'll be done in enough time where obviously the concerns will be like, yeah, it's not a big deal. It could be 2 hours and they'll be like, yeah, not a big deal in the big scheme of things. So yeah, I definitely have some concerns about it, but I think I kind of agree with them on it, and the fact that it is somewhat, in the grand scheme of things, especially when you consider to some of the other proof of stake networks, it'll probably do pretty well. My concerns lie in a different area, some of the things that have been brought up, which is how much control does Ethereum have over who's providing the nodes, or what's more importantly, what services are providing the nodes. I mean, the whole Hetzner thing that came out with the fact that they said, yeah, all these nodes that are riding on our network, it's violating our terms of service, and we're looking to see, you know, how we can help people, quote unquote, help people understand and get off of our network. So things like that are where I have more pause with proof of stake, because we all know like 50% are running on AWS, others are running on other cloud services as well, and it's not decentralized at all. So I think those are bigger concerns, because now what happens if AWS says, you know what? Yeah, we don't want to have crypto. Then what? You have a secure network, you don't have the ability to do what you need to do with the network, and now you got bigger problems.
Well, you know, many of the developers, including Vitalik, mention, you know, we're not okay with censorship, but when you're on a centralized platform, that the government can easily go in there and say, hey, you know what, we don't like this XYZ contract, you know, lock it down, please don't allow it, whatever, then, you know, they're going to have to comply with it. Seth, just to let you know, I'm trying to get Tom to speak, but Twitter Spaces is being Twitter Spaces, so bear with us, guys. Thank you for hanging tight with us as we go through the paces here. So long story short, there are some concerns. Most of this will be discussed in greater detail on September 10th. There's a Ethereum miner meeting that's going on, where we got a lot of the crypto miner YouTubers coming in, or content creators coming in, from big to small, from pools. A few notes from the devs. I unfortunately couldn't get Micah and Tim on, but they did leave me some information that we're going to discuss. So September 10th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, whatever that correlates to you. Make sure you guys are there, because there's going to be a lot of good information being passed out. I really want that to be the last video for people to like turn to and stop asking the questions of what to mine after Ethereum and what's going to happen with XYZ. It just one-stop shop. Answer these questions, move on with our lives, and you know, continue on with the proof of work. So what about the chain split? How probable is this chain split that everybody's talking about? I haven't been paying too much attention to it, but I mean, it's getting some traffic right now that you know, even exchanges are already supporting it or have listed this coin on their exchanges. Is this really going to happen? Do we really need another one?
Yeah, those are two very different questions. I'm going to take them in reverse order. Do we really need another one? Probably not. I mean, damn, we got Ethereum Classic. Where's the love, right? Like, I mean, if you want to do proof of work, there are plenty of options there. And if you want an EVM style chain that already has plenty of developer support, and you want to try to backport, like, or just migrate any of the projects, any of the smart contracts that are on Ethereum right now, Ethereum Classic is waiting. It's a perfectly good EVM chain that's proof of work. So if you really need that in your life, then go there, right? Like, bring all your Solidity contracts over there. And then, is it actually happening? I think it actually is. I really do. Like Chandler Guo is pretty serious about this thing. And the moment that Chandler Guo went public, right? So for the benefit of whoever's listening or the recording after the fact, if you're listening to this, Chandler Guo is a big time, large scale GPU miner and ASIC miner, right? Of various different coins, but especially Ethereum, right? That's Chandler's bread and butter. So Chandler just mentioned like, hey, you're messing with my money. You're messing with my business model. We should fork Ethereum. So we're going to make ETHW, right? I mean, that's confusing, right? So put ETHW right back to back with wrapped Ethereum and say it 10 times fast, I guess, or whatever. So like ETHW is the ticker symbol. It did get some support initially from some exchanges. It did get some support from some other miners too, but mostly, I mean, if we're just kind of boiling it down into its essence, it's pretty much just Chandler kind of having sour grapes and not making himself willing to just acknowledge the fact that Ethereum is going to do this change. Now, even if it goes off perfectly, if it doesn't go off perfectly, this change is happening, and we're all resolved to that fact, but Chandler is not, and he's hanging on desperately to the idea that he can just fork the chain state and that somehow projects will go along with it. They're not. A couple of exchanges have been like, oh yeah, we'll list it. But bro, they get their money from maker-taker fees. They get their money from trading fees. They'll list as many ticker symbols as you throw at them. You know how many like literal chain dead like shit coins are on exchanges still because they get fees? Tons. That's why the market, I mean, that's why we have like something like 20,000 coins listed on CoinMarketCap. But then on the flip side, the major projects, Serpent, the Chainlinks, the stable coins, right? Circle, they're not going to support this new chain with USDC. Tether, they're not going to support this new chain with USDT. So where does that leave these guys? They're dead in the water, man. They've got no future.
OpenSea openly said that they're not going to support it either. They won't support any fork of a proof of work chain from Ethereum. So, which is interesting.
Right there with that one.
What'd you say, Max? I couldn't hear you.
I said right there with you guys. That same thing. It's the biggest question is why? Why? What makes this relevant? It's everybody likes the idea. All the miners love the idea, but what's going to give it value? Why would people go to this? That's the real question. And who is going to run it and develop it? Who's going to get the bomb off of it? All those questions I think are unanswered at this point.
Not answered because no one's asked those questions.
Yeah, right. But let's be real though. I mean, as far as removing the difficulty bomb, as far as like rolling back to a previous snapshot of the chain, or just removing certain proposed DIPs that would be inconvenient for miners, that's not impossible, right? It's not an intractable task. And with enough funding, you could probably do it for less than a few $100,000. And at that scale, just guys like Chandler alone, I promise you, they could bootstrap this chain for somewhere between $10 to $20 million. He's not lacking funding and he's not lacking developer talent. But like you're saying, Max, I think that's the right question. Is there any goodwill anywhere else? Does anybody else actually care, right? You can throw $20 million at a problem and have people be like, meh, so like he's gonna find that out the hard way.
Yeah. I haven't heard him commit to it though. He's talked about, yeah, we're going to do this, but nothing specific. Nothing specific that says this will live on.
Yeah, and to your point also, like who's going to help create real like movement and gravity on this chain? In the DeFi world, it's funny, we don't talk about this term often enough in mining, but TVL, or total value locked on a chain, it's huge. This is a metric that DeFi sort of lives and dies by, where it's like, okay, beyond your own governance token or utility token, who else is like playing in your little walled garden, so to speak, on your chain? Who else is putting things on your chain? So like Mikkel is saying, the OpenSeas, right? All of the additional value of NFTs being locked on your chain. Where is that going? Well, in OpenSea's case, they made a very clear statement like, hey, we're willing to mess with Polygon and Solana for better or for worse, right? Like, I didn't say it was a good idea, but that's the line for them, right? They're happy to support Solana. and then Polygon, which maybe made a little more sense in terms of taking a step towards centralization and proof of stake. But yeah, all these other services. TVL is kind of, for anybody who's tuning in after the recording, like, I think this is the vocabulary word that a lot more miners need to get very comfortable with in evaluating new projects. And I don't want to jump ahead in the content stream, but I think that's going to become a very important thing, a very important term that we use in determining where our hash rate is going after the merge.
Can we go ahead and coin a new term, total hash rate lock, THL? Yeah, I agree that what worries me the most right now is EVM layer compatibility. You know, like what's going to happen when something goes wrong on EVM and they can't fix it because it was a proof of work issued type of validation, right? You know, and with everything forking, not really everything forking, but with the consensus layer changing, and like Minerbit was saying earlier, the block, like everything is going to run weird. But the question is it going to affect your Uniswaps, your OpenSeas, things that are running like full on, you know, dApps on the EVM layer? That's where my curiosity lies. Not so much with even the mining aspect. You know, we've been knowing this is going to happen for a while, but what's going to happen to the base layer? There's so much built on the Ethereum, like EVM, in the virtual machine. So, I don't know.
Hey, so I think that's a phenomenal point, Mikkel. Like, you're going to have all these developers. That's one of the difficulties with a very complex system like this. All these developers that, like, whatever, didn't get the memo, or like legitimately just walked away, went back to their day job. They're like, yeah, whatever, crypto isn't for me. So they're not maintaining their projects or their smart contracts. And they have some component that is dependent on a certain number of validations, or is somehow very directly tied into the consensus layer. Hadn't even considered that, man. That's huge.
I mean, not only that, you think about all of the like the freelance developers out there that have wrote code for various platforms. They're not even around. All they do is hop from project to project. This is what they do. Like, how are you going to decipher what that person did and change it to adapt to the new way when you don't even know what you're reading in the first place? Because code's different, man. It's a different language. Everyone does things a little different. And whenever you go into adapting to another project, you have to basically decipher their code. And it's like legit, not that easy. 100%. I can speak from experience.
Yeah, man, me too. My preferred code writing style, I boil up a pot of spaghetti and I literally throw it at the goddamn wall. And then if something sticks, it's like, all right, I made something. I made a code.
Yay, sticky spaghetti.
But hey, Tom Crown, we finally were able to extend him a successful speaker invite. Tom, bro, you're on stage, I think, finally.
Yeah, wow, that was something. Never seen that before, but yeah, somehow that invite link worked, so I'm here. You know, this is an awesome topic that I don't think people are talking about enough. Is just the merge, and I'm no miner expert, probably like you guys. I'm more of like a chart guy. And I don't even really fancy Ethereum specifically. I am like a proof of work maxi though, so I very much support the model. I believe that that's really the only way to be truly decentralized. And so my thoughts here are probably pretty narrow, and I'm definitely here to listen more than talk. But you know, Ethereum's attempting something at a scale. You know, they're attempting something that's never been done, and they're attempting it at a scale. Looking at Ethereum's market cap, there's a lot of moving pieces, and I've been skeptical since I heard about it, and we've kind of been hearing about this since 2015 from Vitalik, this transition. It's really, I don't know, it seems like it might even not be possible to really have this go smoothly. I heard you guys saying like a 12-minute rollout, like, you know, in crypto and devs especially, it's like, I'll believe it when I see it. But I wonder what implications it has, and hopefully you guys can shed some light on that. Just implications going forward. You know, you have your miners, which are essentially the lifeblood of the network. that have kept it alive, that have, you know, made it what it is. And you guys, I'd love to hear what you have to say. I kind of feel like this is like a slap in the face to them. And I wonder what the fallout is going to be from that going forward.
Hey, I really appreciate that, Tom. Yeah, so and I'm going to do a little intro here. I apologize that I didn't properly intro you to the group. For anybody who's not aware, Tom is a YouTube content creator. He's also a highly sought after public speaker in the crypto space for specifically Bitcoin TA. He's one of the few people who I actually rely on for technical analysis. You know, you'll hear me make jokes about like technical analysis being like voodoo or, you know, black magic. He's one of the people that makes me a believer, though. So yeah, so I appreciate that you made some time to come hang with us, and appreciate what you're saying about proof of work, right? Like it is, the game theory is so hard to disprove, right? Certainly on paper, and then in reality, we've seen some real attack vectors on proof of stake systems. So points taken. Thank you so much for all that. I'm gonna let Max jump in, and I wanted to make sure that I qualified Tom as a speaker here on the panel. You're like, who is this guy? That's who Tom is. Also a friend. So
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I've been pretty said it many times that we are miners are service providers. I kind of almost look like this is almost like a transition to automation in the real world. Yeah, workers aren't going to like it. We don't like it. We're the workers. POS is like the automation. But the bottom line is we are service providers. Now, automation, I think, has a lot more benefits than going to POS in this, and so it's not a true analogy, but yeah, I've said since the beginning, we can't look at this as we got you here. That same with workers. When you have workers and you're going to automation, it's really very similar in that particular case. But at the same time, I was one of the guys at the front saying, hey, can we come to a compromise? And I soon realized that there was no compromise. Compromise was like a 4-letter word to the ETH devs. They didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to even, and this was the whole 1559 conversation that we had. It was like, why is this bad for us? And that was when BBT actually came out and said, hey, there is a specific set of circumstances where 1559 could be a complete failure. You guys need to be aware of this. And then they basically called him an idiot, and none of this will come true. In essence, it didn't, because gas fees came way down before 1559. But devs have certainly disrespected miners all the way along. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on it.
yeah, definitely appreciate you keeping the receipts on that, Max. There was a live stream. I think Serpent mentioned that we had Micah. Serpent was there. We had several people. We had Matt or Blind Run from Sonotech. It was a panel of, I think, easily half dozen or more, maybe 8 or more of us with Micah. And then we had another, I could have swore we had one with Tim Bako. But yeah, you had the Ethereum core developers, or you had people who are core contributors to Ethereum telling this panel of miners, like, no, you're all wrong. But especially, like you're saying, BBT is an extremely well-read and extremely well-versed person in this space. He's been doing this from an advocacy and even from a lobbying side for longer than most of us have even been involved. I mean, like, he gets requests to go to Capitol Hill and make like official comment on proof of work and on infrastructure and on blockchain, like getting comments from DoD, like they request his expertise. So for him to go to the Ethereum core developers and say, hey, I think I can contribute something here. And like you're saying, them have that posture of like, nah, this guy's an idiot. Like, obviously your incentive has made you blind. It's like, no, this guy, he's a little more well-rounded than that. Plus this group, I think we're going beyond just the basic incentive of like, you know, who moved our cheese? We can't mine anymore and earn free coins, air quotes, free coins. Never mind the fact that we invested tens of thousands of dollars in the equipment and, in the ongoing OpEx, like, for air quotes, free coins. Why won't you give us our free coins? Nah, man, it's a gross mischaracterization of what mining is and who does it and what the costs are, all that stuff. So yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up. But yeah, EIP 1559, I'm just going to quickly mention this. I see Tom's got his hand up, but 1559, the fees grew right back up. They did. Now, they're not at the current like $70 transaction fee or $70 contract fee that they were before, $70, $100, $200 contract fees. but they for a time we did see that MEV injection and flash bots brought the fees right back up. It like day to day for the typical crypto miner, your profits didn't dip at all. Like it was hardly felt at all by miners. EIP 1559. So Ethereum core developers were proven wrong, largely. So just wanted to mention that.
Well, I can tell you that this whole breakup that we're having with our girlfriend, she's moving on to greener pastures, and you know, the merge needs to happen. You know, a lot of people want the merge to be delayed from a mining perspective so that we can continue to stack that GLE and get some more Ethereum, but it needs to happen because the longer they delay it, the more damage they're doing to themselves and their overall ecosystem. So the merge is going to happen. It's finally happening. How smooth that's going to happen is yet to be determined. All the concerns presented in today's meeting are valid, but I want to move on to a couple of things. First off, there was a sheet that was published by the devs. I have to find it, where it's like trying to advise people of any misnomers or like misinformation or disinformation or whatever the hell you want to call it these days. Just making sure that you're aware of what's wrong and what's right. And one of those things that we've been saying since EIP 1559 was that the merge was going to lower fees. Obviously, that's, I'm pretty sure everybody in the meeting knows that's not true. And there was a couple other things I'm trying to find on this sheet here. If I can look it up, here you go. And I just want to make sure that, you know, whenever you're sharing information, call people out, but then provide them sources. If you call them out, provide them some links, sources, data, information, whatever you can. If you're just calling them out and being a dick about it, it's not going to help anybody. Education is key, though, in this space. One thing I did not know for myself, which I'm going to explore at Crypto Macau, is you don't have to stake to become a node operator. You can, you know, run a node and participate in the overall ecosystem on the proof of stake model. That's very interesting to me. We know fees aren't going to go down. That might be addressed later. Huh?
So you can run a Geth node without having to run a validator.
Yeah, but a lot of people think you need 32 ETH to become a validator, which is incorrect.
Yes, but you have to have a Geth node to run a validator, but you don't need a validator to run a Geth node.
Right. Put that on a shirt. But the point being is that you can participate in the ecosystem on both sides of the coin. Our participation right now is the proof of work model, right? We use our GPUs or hardware to participate, help secure the network, validate transactions, et cetera, Well, the proof of stake model is going to change that, but you can still participate in other ways if you have the hardware. If not, there are different tools that you can actually utilize. If you want like a all-in-one, don't want to do it yourself, they actually offer a package too. But go ahead. Were you gonna say something? Somebody say something? I heard a noise. No? Okay.
I think Max is off mute. May have had a bogey, a child or somebody walk into the room like, hey.
Yes.
Yep. Well, like I said, adulting. We're all adults. We got family. We got lives to live. So keeping up with this crypto world has definitely been a challenge. But anyways, let's talk about power. There's been some more and more articles coming out about, you know, how great Ethereum is going to be because it's going to drop the, you know, energy usage by 99.99% or whatever you want to call it. You know, I understand that's a big chunk of change, but a lot of people are basing their data on stuff I can't validate, and I don't understand that. For example, one of the articles featured in today's show of Caffeine and Crypto was a gentleman by the name of Kyle McDonald. Again, might be a wonderful guy. I don't personally know him. Might be an outstanding person, but their data, or at least in the video, they say they base their data upon a hash rate and then the GPUs it would take to get that hash rate. But that doesn't account for FPGAs, ASICs, and we don't know as miners, we've been discussing this since EIP 1559, is how many ASICs are on the network versus how many GPUs. You know, is it a 60-40 split, 60 ASICs, 40 GPUs, or 70-30, vice versa? Like, we don't know what that is. All we know is the hash rate. And so he did some calculations and the calculations according to his website and chart says that the energy usage for Ethereum is using about 22.9 terawatt hours per year, but based on data from only 2019, right? We're in 2022, so this data has got to be updated by the greater powers. The world uses annually around 24,000 terawatt hours. So compared to 24,000, 22.9 terawatt hours ain't crap. So there's a lot more other industries that use a lot of power, but this idea that mining is bad because you use electricity, because you're having to cause the power stations or power suppliers to burn more coal or fossil fuels to keep up with demand because you're so power hungry. I don't think that's a full picture, because as these different developments, mining farms.
Hey, I don't know if we all lost Serpent just now. I know I just did. So if I'm talking over you, I apologize. Hey, Tom, you had your hand up before. Did you want to chime in really quickly before we switch over to the topic of power?
We kind of got onto a different topic, so I can wait.
Okay, cool. So while we're waiting for Serpent to reconnect, or for Twitter Spaces to just to graciously bestow him host privileges again, yeah, on the topic of power, I just wrote an article. Actually, finished writing my third article for Crypto Magazine. If you're in the UK, look for it at Tesco. Kind of cool, but had to look up some more recent numbers on this. I think the most recent estimates for the Ethereum network are closer to 75 terawatt hours. So kind of in line with the country of Austria, if you can believe that. Boys, we did it. Right? We finally started to consume as much power as a first world nation, which is, I mean, it's great actually in a lot of ways in terms of power load balancing. So I think those are the most recent numbers, is 75 terawatt hours. Mikkel, Max, Tom, have any of you heard different figures on the total power usage of Ethereum mining?
I personally haven't done the research on it, but I do. You brought up a interesting point, which I truly have always thought as well, and that is load balancing. We do provide at night when things are lower in power, we provide that that outlet for constant power to have. To keep things more regular, to keep things operating and not have to find some other way that they have to offload power instead of through true usage.
I have something to say about this. I actually used to work for a pipeline, and the offloading is one of the hugest benefits that seems to be spun right now as a negative. As a pipeline and a refinery, we would constantly be flaring, and we had to pay $1 million or whatever every time we flared to somehow fix the environment or whatnot. But there is an incredible amount of energy that is wasted and not used for anything, not producing any value. And it's crazy to me how easily people buy into this concept of, oh my God, it uses so much energy. It's more than, the country of Portugal or something. And it's like, well, why is Portugal using so much energy? That's my funny retort. But it's all comparative. The amount that we flare every year is more than even the Bitcoin network uses for its proof of work. So I don't know. Your guys' thoughts?
Kind of thinking we all need to partner with some oil rigs and start putting our GPUs to work on oil rigs.
100%.
Oh yeah, but yeah, Serpent, you were talking about the power, and I think Max was talking about the prospect of sort of load balancing. Tom had mentioned he worked at a pipeline, and he personally witnessed firsthand natural gas flaring and just how wasteful it was. There's a lot to unpack there. So I'm going to keep on doing hey, we got Jeremy Sharapa in the chat as well, or listening. Going to invite you if you'd like to speak as well, brother. But yeah, Serpent, let's unpack that.
Before we move past that, I know that CoinDesk put an article out a couple of days ago, and they had a full-on interview about it. Even Serpent showed it this morning on his live stream. Y'all go back and recheck it, and it's wild because the fact that they only looked for the amount of power that GPU miners use, which is way underpowered compared to ASICs. There's way more like ASIC power, like not hash rate, but power draw out there than there is GPUs, like 110%. So I hate that article even, like they even mentioned that, they're like, oh, GPUs, but what about the ASICs and the FPGAs? Like those are things that do exist and do totally mine Ethereum. So you can't count those out. Numbers are skewed, man. We don't even know.
Oh yeah.
Please tell me you guys.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, man. We got Mikkel up as a co-host. I think that worked. Serpent, fingers crossed, you should be able to as well. But yeah, like you're saying with the numbers, man, there's just lies, damned lies, and statistics, right? Take your pick.
Yeah, pretty much.
Black Cat Crypto, bro, you got a mic. Got a mic under your name. What you gonna do with it?
I was just gonna say that, like, until we have more hard numbers, it's gonna be very hard to tell whether the narrative of using less power when ETH goes proof of stake or from proof of work, which one actually uses more power. But I mean, I haven't personally looked into it too much. If anyone has any resources, definitely like tweet them to me. But I feel like that narrative is just going to be obscured until we can get better numbers.
Yeah, 100%. And servers that are running validators are not any joke to like lack of power. You know what I mean? There are servers out there that I've seen pull 2,000 plus watts. So you're not changing anything. You're still running, and they're still running all their stuff on like AWS type platforms. So how much power do all of those data centers use? Are they on green resources? Like, they ask us these questions, they need to ask them those questions too, because it's very important, apparently, for it to be green. But if they're not going to even give them the time of day to ask that question, everyone will still just believe the fact that GPU mining is not as green. But no one's asked the other question yet. So, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
let's take a best guess here also. So Mikkel, like you're saying, with AWS, with Google Cloud, with Azure, with all the major players, we'll just say all the major cloud providers, but especially AWS and Google Cloud, right? So we'll call them the incumbents. They offer compute heavy services. They offer GPU GPU heavy systems that you can just like spin up, or VPSs you can spin up. In fact, they're some of the biggest buyers of the data center class GPUs, right? Like there are SKUs we can't even access because those guys are buying them up by the entire like production run, not even by the pallet load. They're buying every single unit that AMD and NVIDIA produce. So and then they're shoving into the GPU dense boxes, right? I think Tyan has what am I thinking? Supermicro. They've got a couple of SKUs that are like an 8 or a 10 GPU configuration. Like it's not like this stuff isn't like you can't directly observe this, right? That there's GPU heavy and FPGA heavy server grade components going into their server farms, right? Into all of their like whatever 9-time or 12-time redundant server locations around the world, and they're buying all of them. What is that doing to the grid?
Don't forget about the quantum nodes. How much power does that draw?
Toshi's on. He's on stage, guys. If you don't follow him, you really should.
What's up, bro? Oh, wait, but you're not going 85 per hour.
Yeah, you have to be. It's one of the requirements.
Yeah, let alone 85 miles per hour in the back of a truck with no security cabling, like no tie downs.
With a red in your hand. Good
You've got the
times.
headache rack that you're holding on to and you're standing up. That's it.
Yeah, but the whole point is to watch, MYB in a Lambo. So he's going more than 85. So he's probably in the dinosaur times now.
You come in
Sometimes, man.
from the past.
Yeah, so I owe you a Google Drive link on that note. Got some aerial footage of you in the Lambo. So good time was had by all in Las Vegas. Dude, IRL for the win. You got seriously more miners need to show up to these events because I tried my best to get all the homies back out when we saw there was an opportunity.
I'll eventually make it out to one of the bigger events, but right now I'm grinding, so I'm in the broke category. I got money, but I'm broke. I have money, but I live like I'm broke, so that way I have more money for later.
But I mean, hey, Dave Ramsey's got it right. You're doing it right. You live like no one else will, so can live like no one else can. I forget the phrase is. You're doing it right.
Speaking of which, one of the articles that I covered today was also about how cryptocurrency could help tackle global income inequality, and that's a major topic for various circles, I guess you could say. But grouping this back into the Ethereum discussion, what are the prospects of Ethereum long term? What do we think Ethereum? You think Ethereum's going to be? I know Bitcoin's not going anywhere. That's why there's a ASIC sitting behind me. But what is the prospects for Ethereum long term? Any thoughts on that? Now, when we're talking price, we're not talking about like give me your prices or like what you think it's going to be in 2025 and shit. But like, what do you think of Ethereum long term? Like project as a whole, you think it's going to be around to the dawn of time? What, or to the end of time?
Yeah. So personally, I'm gonna weigh in on just that first question. As far as like there being solutions that are built on Ethereum, the fact that Facebook has now, and I'm going to continue to call it Facebook, by the way, for the record, they will never be Meta to me. It's a stupid name. It's an unenforceable trademark, and we were using that word before they did. So pound sand Facebook.
Aren't they getting sued by multiple Meta companies because they took their name?
They should, and it should go class action because it's an unenforceable trademark. It's just a word. It's like a common word, right? Like you remember growing up and saying, "Oh my gosh, that's so Meta." Now you can't say that because Facebook is trying to like everything, trying to ruin all the fun again.
Trying to own everything.
Yeah, but Facebook, they've chosen to build some of their infrastructure on Ethereum or support Ethereum with the whole like between Instagram and Facebook, being able to post your PFP or being able to post different NFTs and stuff. I genuinely believe, and I'm going to sound like a doomer or whatever, I genuinely believe that's kind of the beginning of the end. When the big companies like Facebook say, oh, we support Ethereum, that means that the data aggregation that they've already been doing for over a decade of all your personal info and everybody you know and love in your life, collecting all that info on you, they're now going to correlate it with crypto wallets, specifically with Ethereum accounts. F that. I don't want it.
Well, I think they've been doing that for years. Like not Facebook is responsible for React, no? So who's to say that they haven't had a backdoor on all those repos the whole fucking time? Like silent, you can have silent attribute sets that just report back data. So who knows? Maybe all these dApps have been giving Facebook alpha for years.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. So yeah, the very tools that everybody has been using on the front end, like you're saying. So for anybody that doesn't know, like React is JavaScript. It is a newer flavor of JavaScript that has made it possible for front end developers to make sites like responsive and to be able to code mobile apps. Usually, right in the same development path. Not have to worry too much about the differences there. But you bring up a fair point there. Yeah, I mean, they've been building a lot of the tools. I think there's a point at which we might also like, I mean, you can get into like all the other conspiracy theories, fluoridation of the water, like how fundamental does that go? How deep does that rabbit hole go? I think at some point, like we are taking a leap of faith with the development tools and the frameworks and libraries that are being offered. Because I mean, random number generation. cryptography libraries and stuff. Like, is encryption fundamentally broken? Like, if we start to question too much the fundamentals there, then yeah, it'll keep you up at night. But I think that just the platforms themselves, like with Facebook and Instagram, like it's pretty obvious that they're pretty open about it. All we do is aggregate data so we can serve you ads. I guess that's where I've got the concern, because they've been hacked so many times, and they so obviously have an interest, like that is their stated business purpose. We will aggregate data on you. So like, I mean, they're not even being clever about it, right? We know they're aggregating the data. I don't want them openly aggregating like all of our data plus our crypto wallets. But you were the point, and we should talk about that more in depth.
Well, I think NFTs serve a purpose in classifying and identifying where people's wallets are in the internet, right? Which is why I think they've kind of taken off. If you're in spaces in a project and that project's PFP has an identifier, then if I was a master villain with unlimited resources, my first goal would be to create data that works, create mechanisms that work with the APIs to tie these identifiers to your wallets, figure out who you are, create profiles, and then figure out ways to arbitrage you. So, I mean, if I could think of it as a degenerate with nothing to my name, then the master villains have already done it.
I mean, can you just imagine? Like, think about it. Like, mind your business, like you were just saying, Sheesh. Like, I don't even like, I degen play quite often. You know what I mean? I'm in a few groups, and I thoroughly like it. But then, like, you look at the stuff and you get the Instagram notification, like, oh, hey, you can now integrate your NFTs, digital collectibles, right in your NFT profile. And I was like, just think about that for a second. They have access to all of your NFTs. Not like access to them, they can see them. So what better way to generate new ad revenue for them than to start promoting new things that are based upon your degenerate likings? You know what I mean? Like, oh, you got a Bored Ape.
Yeah.
Oh, that's your profile picture. Now we're gonna tailor you any kind of Bored Ape derivative or merchandise, or tailor you to just Bored Ape stuff now because you own them. I mean, it's just a whole nother source of ad revenue for them to capture and data for them to read and build a profile on you.
Well, just as a human.
Yeah, I'm just going
Sorry,
to
go ahead, Mike.
It's usually, when it comes to this sort of stuff, like the broader conspiracy theories, which you know I love to indulge in, but I have to rein myself in every now and then, because there are, in some cases you can actually chalk it up to incompetence and not malice. And I think in the case of like the data aggregators, the drag nets that were set out by like the NSA, for example, those were set, like you're saying, a long time ago. They didn't need any kind of fancy front end for that, because they can log everything that's happening on the internet at all times anyway. Like they've got direct tie-ins to the major ISP hubs. So they've already had a dragnet going there, and they've just been amassing all of the traffic for years and just saying, we're going to sift through all that, at some future point if we feel like we need to, or we'll try to identify patterns now and try to get ahead of things that we think are important. How did they miss all the the real events that they could have helped to prevent? Who knows? But they're gonna aggregate all the data anyway. So I don't know if they necessarily need Facebook's help.
So what you're saying is, thank you, DARPA?
Yeah, right. Yet again, right? Like how many times do we get to say that in a day? Picking up our little smart, like more compute power than was used to send people to the moon in our pocket, but also can spy on us and can use encryption on the fly and decrypt on the fly and can compress our file systems on the fly. Yeah, right. Like over and over again. Thank you, DARPA.
Wow, it does all that? I just use it for porn. Jeez, I didn't know all that.
Well, Spenny uses it for cat porn. That's why I invited him up. Spenny, you've been eerily silent.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I think the whole thing about the NFTs as profile pictures is just an OPSEC issue. Like, if you want to flex on everyone, then that's kind of the whole intention of doing that. So if you have all of your NFTs on that one single account, then you're a fucking dumbass, and you're just asking for someone to target you. Like if you guys have been following Zach XBT with the guys that have been this Canadian guy stole 35 million Bitcoin, went to jail, returned like 5 million of it, and then maybe did jail. I'm not sure. It's kind of unclear. And then he somehow got access to a Twitter panel that he resold to people that were using to target all of these Twitter accounts that have all these NFTs on it. And it's basically just a giant honeypot. And Zach managed to dox a guy because he fucking flexed on a $50,000 iced out watch that he bought. So like, yeah, people are just morons. If you're worried about security, then you shouldn't be mixing your crypto and social media anyways.
Yeah, this is the concern that I have, though, is that Facebook, being the juggernaut that they are, they're going to bring the plebs in. I got Big Piggy in the chat as well, or Big Piggy's in the audience. Let us know if you want to come on up. I'm going to send you the invite anyway. But I agree with Spenny, 110%. Zero flex socially. Like I'm going to use the old the dead wise guy quote. Benjamin Franklin said, are you ready for this? Benjamin Franklin said, "He who shows off his wallet or his wife is in danger, too often is in danger of having them borrowed." I know. It sounds smarter than it is.
Well, why would you announce what you have to the world in real life, like in person, right? You don't walk around with your cash on the outside of your jeans. You walk with it in a wallet. Well, I don't even keep cash anymore, so that's a poor example. But did you guys hear about the Bill Murray hack? How Bill Murray's NFT got hacked after the check? Yeah, bro. So it was actually, so it looks like it was 119.2 WE, 185K. Luckily, he has, because we don't have this, some security firm protecting his damn NFTs for him, stopped it before they could get any deeper and go after some of the other items that they have, like the Cool Cat, the CryptoPunk, so on and so forth. But yeah, man, if you got a target on your head, I'm not sorry for you. You kind of put your business out there, and you got to be careful.
Yeah, no, agreed. Let's reset the room just a little bit here, talking about the merge, and I think our last major tangent from that point was talking a little bit about global power consumption for current proof of work security of the Ethereum network. I think Serpent, when Twitter Spaces, graciously decided you didn't need to be a host anymore, kick you off, you mentioned a figure for global power consumption. I think the last numbers that I had looked at in preparation for the Crypto Magazine article that I'm writing, look for it if you're in the UK. It's going to be sold at Tesco. And then, ironically, I think it's also available in South Africa, like only in the UK and South Africa, but whatever, look for Crypto Magazine. I think the last figures that I found that seemed reliable were about 75 kilowatt hours. Sorry. What am I saying here? No. Oh, geez. Sorry. I used the wrong designator there. Roughly the same amount of power consumed as the nation of Austria. So that's Ethereum. Every
I thought it was
year.
Finland.
Yeah, well, hey, we've grown up, right? That's what happens. That's what happens when you're big boy ETH. You grow up from being Finland to being Austria. That's the list.
So what?
Yeah, but
what is?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna ask, like, so what is the terawatt hours? Because I mean, that's the problem is we got all this data or different aggregators that say it's this, and then somebody says it's this, and then somebody says it's something else. So like this guy that is saying Bitcoin's never going to go above 69K is going to be regulated away, and you might as well get out of it, is projecting Ethereum using 22.9 terawatt hours a year. But then I have another metric here that says 112 terawatts of electricity annually. So what number did you just say?
75 terawatt hours per year. And these are the most recent figures that were done by Eric Wall. I think it's the last thing that he did for Arcane, the fund that he managed. I think so. So he had to do a little bit more of his due diligence there. And I'll be honest, I got a little more lazy because I'm like, okay, this guy's got fiduciaries that he has to answer to, so I'm just going to take his number at face value.
I think that this metric and the comparisons are neither here nor there, because if you compare, what Ethereum does versus what Ethereum does with its power versus what Austria does with this power. Austria just powers a couple of stoves, some Nintendo Switches, and a bunch of people degenning out doing stupid shit all day. Like, not efficient at all. What does Ethereum do? It's one of the world banks that secures your transactions. So, it's apples and oranges to me.
The tangibles, the real world use cases. So, but I mean, the reason why that conversation even came up on the previous meeting that was shut down by Twitter so graciously was just the fact that, everybody wants to use that metric, and whether it's here nor there, everybody wants to use that metric of, how much Ethereum, how much energy Ethereum is using as, a positive going to proof of stake. And it is a positive. I mean, that's a lot of energy that could be put towards other uses, but it's just where are these guys getting their data from? What are the numbers? How are you calculating? Because this one that I'm looking at from this McDonald character, and again, they might be a great guy. I don't personally know him, no disrespect. But he says in his videos and content that he's basing it off of the network hash rate, a couple other metrics, and then estimating the number of GPUs. GPUs have gotten efficient over the years, which is true. As we look at the efficiency chart, we climbed up from 0.2 to 0.3 to 0.4. Now we're at 0.5, depending on the GPU. But it's not just GPUs on the network. There's ASICs, there's FPGAs, all kinds of stuff. We don't know how much is what. So that's why that was one of my arguments on the last little call that we had. Is it is a positive. The world does need to do better about its CO2 emissions and energy usage, period, because it is warming, and we need to make some changes. But I think the mining apparatus is just pushing the local governments and infrastructure to do better, to stop sitting on your ass. And we need to get more renewables. We need to expand our infrastructure. We need to get better, cleaner power, more reliable power, like Texas, right? Texas had to shut down during the peak heat time. So, it's going to force, as these mining operations, large scale to mid, come online, they're going to push these, hopefully, these power companies to do better. And the long run is, to me, a positive, is basically what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, I think there's even some contention in the way that the CO2 versus warming numbers are being measured right now, Serpent. As far as there being, yes, more CO2 as measured in the environment than ever before in human history. It doesn't necessarily, like, the biggest spikes in CO2 emissions and in atmospheric CO2 are not necessarily correlated with our hottest years on record. And we're not seeing a linear or directly correlated rise in global temperatures and global warming along with that CO2 figure. So there's a lot that sort of environmental scientists projected and modeled that is breaking now, because we're seeing, like, oh, wow, the Earth is kind of resilient, and CO2 is kind of, what's it called? Right, plant food. Like, the Earth does kind of heal itself. So there's a lot of people who are still trying to figure out, like, how do we make sense of some of those other numbers? Right? Like, it's not quite as cut and dried as some people have tried to tell us that it is.
None of it's cut and dry. That's the thing. If it's cut and dry to you, you're dealing in an absolute. I don't want to deal with you.
Yeah, right. Damn, you went from 0 to Sith Lord in like one quotable right there.
I mean, the other thing that people haven't really thought about is that crypto miners want to use alternative forms of energy because we want to get our electric costs down.
Yeah, I bought 30 solar panels with the hopes of powering my miners with that, and then I bit off more than I could chew because I didn't have enough space and I didn't gauge it properly. But if I had a little more resources, I would have pulled that off. I would have had no electric bill, and I would have been mining. Was it like 900 mega hash easy for free?
You need to put more solar panels on your Lambo.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, right. So here's the other thing. A lot of the utilities, they're taking advantage of this movement towards renewables. A contact of mine in Southern California, they laid out all the initial upfront costs for solar on their home. And they deployed, it wasn't a whole lot. It was for a typical household, right? They are not mining. So they did fewer panels than we might. And so they got the solar fully installed, and SoCal Edison, get this, started to charge them for providing power to the grid. Instead of buying their power to contribute back to the grid, they started charging them anyway. Like they found a way to tax them.
That's insane.
I mean, look what Warren Buffett did to Nevada. I think the power company in Nevada, he owns it. Like it's Berkshire Hathaway owns it. So people that switched over to solar because they weren't using much off the grid, they jacked the prices on people that were using less energy. It's crazy.
Yeah, so all of that just to say, Black Cat, you're totally right. Like miners are always looking for ways to add renewables to their sort of like to how they're sourcing their power. Like that's one of the things that makes Texas such a great place, is that there's a massive diversity of power generation sources there. Like it's not just oil or any kind of coal-fired plants. It's not just wind power. It's not just hydro. It's kind of a mix of all of those, depending on where you are. Energy is fully exploited, and I mean that in the best possible sense of the word. Like energy exploration is fully explored and exploited in Texas, which is why they get such great consistent rates across the state. And I mean, the drilling operations with natural gas flaring. Tom was saying before, spoiler alert, ExxonMobil, BP, all the majors, they've been talking about doing on-site power generation with their natural gas flaring for years. Like we're actually late to the party. They've been wanting to mine at scale, but they've been struggling to figure out how to do so without having whatever their board of directors go basically ape shit, or having their stockholders go insane on them. So they've been wanting to do this. They get it. Anywhere that there's the opportunity to both cut costs, go more green, conserve more, do additional, not just on-site generation, but co-generation, where you recapture the heat runoff and you do there's some amazing things you can do with natural gas flaring and on-site co-generation. It's like with additional turbines and stuff. It's pretty unreal. Like I'm talking like greater than 90% efficiency on capturing some of the stuff that would normally be lost and converting it all into mining, like hash rate. But on that note, right now, it's presumed that nearly 60% of all proof of work mining, both Bitcoin and Ethereum, it's already renewable. That's pretty much on par with that figure that comes from Austria, right? About 60% of Austria's power is renewable. And they're very proud of that, right? They're like, look what we've done. Yeah, where's our pat on the back? Austria? All of the Ethereum mining network, we're about 60% renewable too. Why isn't anyone talking about that?
I think it's because they feed the mainstream and they feed the dummies this information so that they rally against what's in their best interest. What's in their best interest is to continue to democratize GPU hash rate, because this attempt to basically centralize, like, okay, you can run a proof of stake node, but you're going to have to run a cloud machine for redundancy. So you're giving some kind of cloud service, some form of money every month to protect yourself from getting slashed. You're doing all of these things and putting money into pockets of bigger corporations. It's just the flow of money is going to centralized forces, and the centralized forces are going to have more control of these networks. And that's the problem. But the dummies don't see it that way. They see it, you're using all the power.
Agreed.
Hey guys, it's a pleasure to be amongst all these OGs. I've learned so much from your YouTube channels, and it's great that we're having this sort of conversations. What I find amusing is how much people are willing to give up what's important for just what's simply, I guess, easy, right? Like we were talking about Facebook and NFTs and how having all our information with our wallet they could just track us, right? But people are going to be like, oh, I don't care as long as I can show off my NFTs, it's okay. And to me, proof of stake, it's sort of the same concept, right? Because you've got this easy thing to do for investors, which is just, okay, so put your Ethereum in this node and that's it. And they're okay with it. But with it, we're like losing two of the most important things in crypto, like fundamentally, like to me at least, which is to have a permissionless network and to have decentralization, right? Because I live in a country, I live in Bolivia, and crypto is banned here. Like literally, the central bank prohibits us to buy crypto. So if I go to, let's say, Binance and I try to buy Ethereum, they're going to block my card and they're going to freeze my account because I'm trying to buy crypto, right? So I had like 2 or 3 GPUs because I have a small production company, and I had like a couple of GPUs that were there, and I was like, man, maybe I should try to find out how to mine crypto. So I came out with some of a tech video on how to mine Ethereum, and a day after I was in crypto, like earning money and being part of this ecosystem. And a few weeks after that, there was this talk with a lot of miners, and BBT was there, and I think Crypto Mikhail was there, and Seth was there. So I was meeting all these people and learning about how important it is to have a decentralized network, and I was a part of that, right? But now that it's all going to be centralized, and I'm going to have to buy Ethereum in order to be part of that shit. It's all gone. Like I'm not going to be able to teach my brother or my father, hey, look at this cool technology. We can all be part of it, right? Because I just remember my 82-year-old father learning about how I was making money with some hardware I had, just collecting dust. And first was like, what's this crazy internet money? Like, you will never be able to get fiat out of that. And the first time I was able to get that money out of crypto and just have it like physically per se, like I remember just showing it to my dad, and he was like, it's just crazy, right? Like, it's this opportunity to decentralize our banks and financial system, and it's all going down the drain based on this. Okay, that's it, guys. I'm sorry I might have taken a long time to explain what I was trying to say, but I'm just really sorry that things go this way, right?
No, man, proof of community. Thank you for that. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's so right, though. You need to be a sysadmin, or at least have sysadmin like knowledge in order to run a validator properly. With proof of work mining, I mean, all right, yeah, that centralizes the master nodes a little bit. But the thing is, if you know your shit and you know something, some entity is acting nefarious, you can move your hash rate over to another node. It's not a big deal, So like, the barrier to entry is a lot higher. So is it really more decentralized? And it's crazy because Vitalik was the one that coined the trilemma, and he's over here violating it. Like, what are you doing, bro?
Yeah. So hey, so I apologize, Serpent. Let's define that for anybody in the audience, anybody who's listening to the recording that's never heard of the blockchain trilemma before.
Oh, am I tasked with answering that?
Yes, sir. Well,
the trilemma was like a trifecta: security, scalability, and security. Right? Did I say that twice?
You did. Decentralization.
Decentralization. Right. Yeah. So if you're giving up one side of that trifecta, you're increasing the other two, and vice versa, and the other way around as well. I should not have been tasked with answering this.
You did great, though, bro.
I was just gonna say, congrats on showing your dad the world of crypto. I'm happy that you got to amaze him by that, because it's the same thing for my family, my mom and my sister. Now my whole family is pretty much in it, including my kids. But proof of work is not dying, even though Ethereum is switching on us. There's still going to be other projects. The biggest thing is we need those projects to innovate. Like, I really need Ravencoin to step up. I love Tron Black, but like, Ravencoin is not really like what new shit has been going on. So we need these projects that are going to take over proof of work to continue to innovate and grow in the space. But mining is not going to die. So it's just not going to be as profitable for the beginning part. We'll probably see. That's what I'm interested in. I have a multi-series where I go over like what was the most profitable cryptocurrency to mine for the previous month. And I'm very interested to see how that shakes up and what takes over number one consistently and how the rest of the cryptos turn out to be profitability wise. So we'll see how that shapes up in the long run. But I'm very interested and happy to hear, you know, that somebody new to the space sees a video, decides to play around with it, gets in it, and then starts their way towards you know, a little bit of financial freedom.
And usurping a government entity from banning you and censorship resistance, all that stuff. I love it. Power to the people.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Right. This is the biggest international revolution we've ever seen, and it's peaceful, right? Like all we have to do is apply a little bit of brain power collectively and have enough community to be able to help each other, and then figure out like how do we contribute while also being able to prove to each other that we don't need trust. It's crazy, right? But it's but we've never seen anything like this ever.
Well, there's precedent. There's some like Martin Luther King was precedent, except it's not. It's IRL. It's not like in crypto. We can all opt out with a click of a button, but there's a metric I can't quote. It's like something like 5% of a population standing in front of the government building is enough to cause a peaceful transition in their favor.
Man, that echoed at like the best time possible.
Yeah, give me an echo like I'm on a podium. I have a dream. I have a dream.
Well, on that note, I'm just going to welcome Alex from Blockchain Solutions to the stage. He's reconnecting now, but yeah, we finally got him on the stage. Big Piggy also is in the chat we're trying to bring him on stage. Another, like, we're talking about projects that we know and love, right? That are provably decentralized and proof of work. Trying to bring him on stage to have a word here.
What do you guys think about Vertcoin? I have a feeling.
Ooh, I've got feelings on Vertcoin as well, but I'll let somebody else talk.
Ooh.
What are your feelings? I want to know. Hang on. We're going to talk about feelers. Let's go.
All right. Well, yeah. Okay. Pass me the doll. I need to show you exactly where I've got a gripe with Vertcoin. Yeah, where they touched my rigs inappropriately. So here's the thing. Vertcoin, not a bad project. Proof of work, phenomenal. They attempted to fork into something that was ASIC resistant early on. They discovered that FPGAs were a thing too, and so they weren't able to escape the large scale mining from FPGAs. Also, I'm hearing feedback from Alex's mic, so I know he's on stage, but we'll get to you in a second here, man. No worries. Welcome to the stage. But with Vertcoin, here's kind of my gripe. There are a couple of CBDC. There's one notable CBDC repository that the Vertcoin team has contributed to, and it's not that I think that the Vertcoin team has any kind of that they're bad faith actors or anything is wrong with them, as much as I think that CBDCs are inherently dangerous, and the Vertcoin team has directly contributed to CBDCs now, which for me is like, oof. Any good feelings I had before are kind of gone now.
Damn it. You ruined it for me.
That's what I was going to say. I knew that was coming. So you're saying you're a big XRP fan then, right?
Oof. Wrecked. Yeah, he outed me. I hate CBDCs, but I love XRP. Damn.
So is it the ISO 20022 or whatever it's called that gets you going?
Yeah, early work in progress, man. That's the thing. This is the sort of thing where it's like, oh my gosh, et tu, Brute, like for real? You guys were so close to being okay. And now this.
God damn it.
Yeah, hey, Alex from Blockchain Solutions, we finally got you on stage. If you don't know, guys, Alex, I tried to get him on stage earlier. Go ahead and say hello to the folks.
Hey, how's it going, guys? You guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you, bud.
Great, man. No, just want to make a comment first with Seth and his Hokum Free Holders. I thought that was funny. You know, when you put the the rice is on there. And God, you're freaking Latin to the bone, I guess, huh?
SLC, yeah, no, but I mean, should I introduce you like differently? ¿Qué voy a hacer?
Yeah, que what I said. Yeah. So no, I can introduce myself. So no, I'm a blockchain strategist. I used to actually be with Walton Chain USA, and Seth actually interviewed me one time. And I'm a crypto miner with about 350 GPUs, mostly RX 5700s and the 5 and 4 series 580s. And I have probably 1/3 of my hash rate mining Ethereum Classic, and the other 2/3 mining Ethereum. And then I also got about 23 ASICs S19 Pros mining Bitcoin and some Zcash miners as well. So I've been doing this for about 4 years, and I've seen a big shift of sentiment over to Ethereum Classic, which I've always believed in it, and that's one of. I mean, I'm definitely an ATC maximalist, and it's one of the things that I found surprising is that 99% of the people don't know that F is actually a fork of ETC. And if you go into Coinbase and do the description, which there's a post on my Twitter, if you can, go to the Twitter and comment. It's pointed out the not CoinDesk, CoinMarketCap, that the description is saying that ETC is a fork. Have you guys seen that?
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I mean, that's just unbelievable. So, in the spirit of what immutability and decentralization is supposed to be for, you got, Vitalik that and his cronies that when the Ethereum Foundation got hacked or whatever was the DAO, he rolled it back. And, that doesn't make it immutable and decentralized. And I actually find it completely surprising that people actually follow him. Had to be big money investors had money invested in him and not the typical guys like us that are believing to the, in the spirit of what blockchain is and how it's supposed to work. And, I see that possibly if POS does fail or it has any problems, I mean, the miners are obviously going to be jumping over to Ethereum Classic. I have about 12.13 gigahash of mining power with my GPUs. They're all going to go Ethereum Classic. And, one of the things I wanted to comment is that, I mean, I've been watching Ethereum Classic for several years and not one project on there in the last 6 years. And then just in the last 10, 15, 12 months, you just see project after project after project. Bored Ape Yacht Club, you have the CryptoPunks, you got the Moonbirds, you got the Monkey Dudes, you got the ETC Pixel, you have HepSwap, now you have ShipC, now you have a Dodgelon. I mean, you just start seeing project after project after projects every week. And I think, this hash rate is obviously going to be triple, quadruple, quintuple in the next 3-4 weeks, maybe 2 months. But I think price action will follow. And the miners who are going to be moving over to Ethereum Classic are naturally going to have to start doing some research and see what they're investing in and going to start bringing in the market and start, buying these NFTs. I bought a bunch of Bored Ape Yacht Clubs, about 35. I also got the airdrop for the serums, and I also got, I got the mutants as well. So it's been pretty interesting. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Damn, bro. First off, like, tell us you're a secret whale without secretly telling us you're a whale. You got in at all the right times, man, on all those projects. So kudos. But I mean, that's just you.
My question is, how many people away from Andreessen Horowitz are you, blockchain?
Anthony Horowitz. 0. That's funny. No, man. You see the you see the action on there, and the community's growing. I mean, are any of you guys GPU miners? I mean, I had to. I bought a bunch of 4 gig GPUs knowing that I was going to eventually go to ETC. I bought them before the 4 gig hit on the Ethereum, so I was able to use them for about 1.5 years. And then I obviously used them a little bit after that using LOL by using the reduced hash rates. But obviously, once I get down to like 15, I moved over to ETC. But I'm very happy I did because, I really truly believe that Ethereum Classic is going to start getting a lot more, eyeballs on it. And if people don't know that Grayscale's 3rd largest holdings is ETC. I don't know if you guys knew that.
So I wasn't aware of that. I did know that there were some trusts that you could buy, like if you have an IRA or a crypto 401k. I was aware that you could acquire ETC, but I think that's because, in large part, some of those groups, they started to roll out their trusts and some of their managed investment offerings. they started to roll those out before major forks were beginning to happen. So like Grayscale, they offer like Bitcoin Cash as well. I think that they're also like kind of forced by their charter to, I think they might be offering BSV, which is insane. But because it's a fork, right, they have to offer, like they are, not that they have to offer it, but it became like sort of a quasi obligation of theirs to offer the major high market cap forks. So Bitcoin Cash, then Ethereum plus Ethereum Classic, that tracks, man. No, I get that. And I'm going to just quickly comment on what you mentioned before, Alex, about Ethereum Classic being lined up to be the biggest beneficiary of hash rate after the merge. I agree 100%. There's no other project that has in a high enough market cap to be able to absorb the hash rate and the potential necessary sell-off, right? Sell pressure of mid-scale and larger miners. All the other market cap, all the other coins that we're talking about, they're technically small cap coins. They're not nano cap coins, but they're technically like not a high enough market cap to be able to absorb just the price action, right? The velocity and sell pressure of mid-scale miners. Full stop. You just don't have enough liquidity. I mean, as much as we might like Ravencoin, we might like Flux Network and some others, Ergo and others, they don't have all of that daily volume that would be necessary for a mid-scale operation to continue to conduct operations if they had to sell off to like for their OpEx. Only Ethereum Classic fits that description.
Ethereum Classic is going to be the second largest POW proof of work after Bitcoin now once Ethereum falls off. And I'm looking right now at Grayscale Investment Holdings. I'm looking at the website. So in Bitcoin, they have 12.71 billion. Ethereum, they have 4.82 billion. And then the next one is 388 million, which is Ethereum Classic. And the nearest one, which will be the fourth one, is Litecoin at 94. So it's not even close. So, by them holding that, that's telling me they know something. I mean, these are smart people. They know that, for what I believe, is that Ethereum Classic is going to start getting more price action. And also a lot of the developers that don't like proof of stake, or if there's any kind of glitch on the proof of stake, they'll come over to the proof of work. So I find that kind of interesting. So what I've been doing now is doing some videos, and I'm going to do one this week. I already did one on the mining, and I did kind of showcase some of the ETC NFTs, but I'm going to go ahead and do a whole section, a whole video just on ETC NFTs. And I think maybe you guys might want to take a look at that.
Oh, you just gotta follow, sir.
Yeah. Same. Yeah. So I'm gonna just showcase all the ETC NFTs, the swaps and so forth, and just go one by one. And like I said, I've been watching ETC for quite a while, and now it seems like there's a new project every week when it was like no projects at all.
Well, hey, let me amplify that with you, man, and let's collab on some of this ETC content, because it's not central focus for me, but it is for you. So I love bringing on passionate people onto my channel. So let's connect for next week sometime.
We could do that. Sounds good.
Servant, bro, do you really have your hand up when you're co-host?
Yeah, I have my hand up. I don't want to interrupt. Considering what was just said, and the expectation that Ethereum Class is going to, steal some of that market share, that's absolutely true. Now, it's very easy for miners, especially ASICs, because, Bitmain just released a firmware update for the E9 to mine ETC hash. Red Pen is going to be testing it out for me because I had some time with it one-on-one. As these ASICs transition, not all of them can mine ETC hash, but those are going to go over there. And the GPU miners, I would say, is not going to go all ETC, but most of them will, because it's just an easy transition. That and Ergo is an easy transition for them to really easily point their rigs, especially if you're a big farm. Even if you're using a centralized software like Hive or a customized Linux-based operating system, it's going to take some time. Got to set a schedule and make sure that the rigs point and turn. It's like moving a tanker. It takes a minute to turn the ship. But, eventually when they do turn, we're going to see quite a bit on Ethereum Classic, which I'm going to be monitoring its hash rate, network hash rate. Considering what you just said about, the investment into ETC, we can roughly speculate that, yeah, ETC, with all the benefits, think about it. Ethereum, all the EIP proposals, all the different improvements that were done, upgrades, development, could easily be implemented on ETC if it hasn't been already. And so the projects are going to want to go in that general direction. So I'm all for ETC. I'm a bag holder, and I'm a hodler, and I'm a lover of ETC. I'm a supporter of it as well. Code is law. It was the original Ethereum before Vitalik, got all Hollywood on us. So we'll see how things pan out. But I don't think every GPU miner is going to go ETC. I definitely think most of it's going to be dispersed. But we don't know. We don't have a crystal ball. And until the network, shows us after, Ethereum is no longer mineable, it'd be very interesting to see how everybody goes and why they go there. They might go to projects that aren't profitable because they believe in it. They might go to projects that are somewhat profitable, but not the number one, like Ergo or something. So we'll see how it shakes up. But ETC is definitely one that I love and support.
I think you guys are onto something. I'm looking at the chart now, and it actually flows pretty nice, man. There's fib lines at 140, 280, major inflection points at 520. And the breakout right now looks fucking sexy. Holy shit.
Slowly. Just, can you do that? Would you do that for me?
What?
You said something,
the
but
other advantage to ETC is that it has liquidity. So miners can easily get their funds out. Other ones like Flux, Ergo, and Ravencoin, it's harder to get, your money for the crypto.
Absolutely. No, totally agreed. And for me, the fundamental, so I was making jokes there about technical analysis, right? She talked about the Fibonacci retracement, or the support lines and stuff. And yeah, Black Cat, like you're saying, for me, the fundamental analysis is just how much total money is flowing through this thing. What's the total market cap? How liquid is the coin? How much is being bought and sold every day? And so with those numbers, how many of us can point rigs at it? And if we needed to sell off daily or weekly or whatever, or monthly, how many of us could actually do that without tanking price? Or on the flip side, without moving the market in the wrong direction. And only Ethereum Classic has the characteristics like Blockchain Solutions was saying, Alex was saying. I mean, it's got a market cap that's damn near Litecoin. And for a proof of work project, that's significant. We won't mention Dogecoin on this Twitter space. That would be inappropriate. But like any other proof of work coin, it's just not even close. You got billions upon billions in market cap, and you got that daily volume in terms of trading that doesn't even make it. The nearest competitor is 1/6 to 1/8 the market cap. It just doesn't. They don't look feasible.
Hey, Sheesh, check this out. Last year, around this time or around the end of August, the Ethereum Classic hash rate was only 2 terahash, and the price of it was around $5-6. Now look at the hash rate. Hash rate's over 45 terahash, and the price is around $32. So it's underappreciated, is all I'm saying.
I think I'm just going to do something unexpected and sell all my GPUs, get some epics in my Monero.
Wait for the next. Hey, there's some good shit coming from AMD. Wait a little bit. One
of the things I wanted to comment that he was talking about, not all the GPUs are going to be going to ETC. That is correct. I would say probably the core intensive algorithms such as Zell. I would say Zell, well, not Zell anymore. Sorry, Flux. I used to mine Zell, and I had Masternode, but I sold those. But they're going to get some of them. I would say probably Ravencoin as well. But like I said, and this guy made a great comment, and that's something I have actually been discussing as well, is that anybody with a significant farm is not going to want to tune all their GPUs again. I mean, it took me months, if not almost a year, to freaking get these things to run the way they run now. And I still tune them every day, believe it or not. So imagine trying to tune all that crap into another core intensive algorithm. Not only do they run hotter, but they use much more power. And and you're talking about, you have a location that has airflow just enough to run these memory intensive algorithms, that's ET and ECC hash. Now they're going to be running hotter. You're going to have to upgrade your extraction fans and so forth, and your flow. That's just going to be another cost. So I don't see it. Anybody, and not just that, the ASICs. The ASICs are not going to mine flux because they can't. You know, they're not going to mine flux. They can only mine ATC. So all these ASIC manufacturers that run F, they're already upgrading all their firmwares to be able to run ATC. So you're going to see. I mean, if you go over to what is it, Hive OS, there is a website. I don't remember the link. Maybe I'll post it later on my Twitter, that you can see the how many GPUs are on there, how many are ASICs, what they are, 580s. Have you seen that before? It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, so I'm gonna show a little bit of Serpent's content here. His end of month roundup. I don't know if he's been including that in it, but generally speaking, I mean, his stuff is solid. He's been tracking this for, gosh, Serpent, it's been 2 years now that you do the end of month roundup. Longer?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you got, as far as like, if you want Oracle data, that's what I'm saying. Like Serpent has been like, he's your Huckleberry, right? He's been doing that for 2 years, so you can track that over time with what he's presented there. And yes, HiveOS also has, they're providing that data from their platform in real time about the GPUs that are mining different algorithms. So that's incredibly useful too, but it doesn't tell you profitability, right? So being able to correlate that with profitability is that's the master stroke right there.
Oh, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Well,
Yeah, so,
it's can I tangent off of profitability for a second? Because I feel like these days, you know, profitability is such an easy conversation to have, but I kind of want to go back to the days where you kind of had to lean into certain things and wait for them to be profitable, because that to me is just like the force has been balanced. You know, right now everything is fucking skewed. Like historically, Bitcoin was never profitable to mine. ETH was generally, it was very few times that it was actually profitable to mine, and those were the times that you should have been mining it. So I want to kind of go back to those days. I kind of want all the degenerates to just get out for a little bit and just like let me do what I used to do. You know.
Well, we were mining coins when they weren't profitable, and then they blew up when everything started, you know, taking off in late 2015, 16. So spec mining is still a favorite of mine, and let's just say I made a decent bag off of the Oxia.
yeah, there's still the strong case for spec mining, and the Satoshi, what you're talking about, or Satoshi Boulevard by any other name, right? Like there's spec mining still makes sense. Mining when it's not profitable still makes sense, but mining speculatively without knowing, at least trying to make a good calculated risk, that's just gambling, bro. So you do have to know that you got those strong fundamentals and that there is like a really strong business case and really strong use case and really strong future for those projects. And if there's not a really strong business case and use case and future for those projects, then you know you gotta kill your darlings. I hate to put it that way, but you gotta kill your darlings. I regret not selling my Raven coin when its Satoshi value was 1,600 above 1,600 Satoshis per coin. Now, like I don't remember the last time we broke in 500 Satoshis per coin on Bitcoin. Got this bag sitting around that's worth, you know, less than a quarter than it was at its peak. That's painful, bro. So you do have to make some hard decisions there as far as what you will take risks on and what you'll float the costs to mine in the meantime. Speaking of Raven coin, kind of not performing as hoped or expected, Big Piggy finally has speaker access. Hey, Big Piggy. Hey,
man. Good to be here. Well, I mean, I lost all faith in them in 2020. 2020, basically. I told them about some exploits in November 2019, and they never fixed any of them. So couldn't really care less what the hell they've been doing.
Well, and now some of us have kept the receipts or remembered the dates. Anybody else remember what happened after Big Piggy made some disclosures there? I'll drop it. Hey, you remember that giant hidden inflation bug in Raven coin? Yeah, that happened after Big Piggy warned them.
That wasn't the one I specifically warned them about, but their assets bug, several of them, basically, they knew about for months ahead of time.
Yeah, the assets bug was the one that was exploited. I think I said it incorrectly. So the people were able to mint assets or duplicate assets or inflate assets, specifically the custom assets.
They could do whatever they wanted with assets, basically. Just put it into the Coinbase of the block being mined. No checks whatsoever of any kind. They could probably even have hung the chain permanently by mining a block with one of the control assets in it.
Yeah, that's intense. So imagine on the Ethereum or the Ethereum Classic side, being able to mint as many DAI or as many Tether as you want on demand.
And think about this. A lot of the chains that copied Ravencoin, if Ravencoin hasn't fixed it, they have that same exploit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I ripped the asset layer off of Raven Classic, the X16R continuation of it.
Oh, X16R. The days.
Yeah, you remember trying to tune your rigs on X16R, and you'd be like, wait, which algorithm is it doing now?
Which one is it on? Is it on BMW? Which one? Blade? Yeah, that was fun. Ravencoin was. That's one of the things I love about mining, though. It's not easy for a tanker to turn in the water, just like it's not easy for a large mining operation to quickly switch over to a different pool or algorithm core intensive from a memory intensive one. But as at-home miner, that's one of the things I enjoyed. That's actually what got me into crypto. Is I'm an enthusiast overclocker, right? So I compete on hardware bot in various forms, trying to overclock my hardware and get the best points, best performance, frames per second, whatever. And it was just an easy adjustment to go into mining because it's all about tuning for efficiency, right? So you sit there, make a few adjustments to your core, to your voltage, to your memory, and you just find that balance. And one of the things, pet peeves that drives me up the wall is everybody and their mom is in the comments telling me what clocks I need to be using on my GPUs. Yes, there's a baseline, but motherfucker, you don't live where I live. You could be in Canada or freaking Arctic or something, and I'm in Florida, so I'm not gonna be able to run the same shit you do. So chill out, take my baseline, compare it to yours. If you can get better, great. If you get worse, oh well. But it's the tuning aspect that I really love about crypto that got me into it. Obviously the projects, BYOB, bring your own beer. Oh no, wait, do your own research. The projects are something I love to support, and often go down the rabbit hole of researching these various projects and spec mining a little bit here and there, only because I see an opportunity. It is a risk, but I see an opportunity. But the problem is some people try to replicate that and they get burned, and then they want to blame somebody, which is why you got to be careful on social media and public platforms, because you promote something and shit don't go the way they want, they're going to want to go find somebody to blame, which is, we got the situation with Tornado Clash and the open.
I mean, we can only really take that so far. I mean, at the end of the day, people are responsible for their own decisions. And if they didn't choose to put in enough additional due diligence on top of what they were supposed to, what they thought they had to put in, then that's on them.
Yeah, 100%. And on that note of the peanut gallery serpent telling you how to cool your rigs in the Florida heat, we need to get you into a single phase liquid immersion cooling setup, methinks.
Dude, I'm trying to get into it right now.
Project for the future. It's coming in due time. I'm still going to be an at-home guy, but eventually looking at other opportunities. So quick question, since I mentioned Tornado Cash, and this is the Ethereum Merge Miner meeting, PoWow. What about the censorship aspect?
Oh, I'm glad you brought it up. I was going to, but the tangent was great. I was eating popcorn.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, I love that. So moving from proof of work into proof of stake, this has been discussed, and there's, again, I'm going to shill it, guys. I'm going to shill it really quickly. But Crypto Magazine, an interview that a co-writer of mine had with somebody who's who's having to do sort of corporate analysis of some of what to expect after the merge. Moving from proof of work to proof of stake, having these validators already tell us in advance. Some of them tell us in advance, oh yeah, we fully intend to comply with like the US Treasury's sanction of the Tornado Cash addresses. We won't even write those transactions into the block. We won't even validate those transactions at all. Like we're already hearing it. The censorship is real. It's going to happen. It's going to be much more of a reality on proof of stake than it ever was on proof of work. That said, with proof of work, I mean, some of the pools that we mined to, they weren't exactly angels either. They were happy to be complicit in censorship. So it doesn't matter what your security model is in blockchain, if whoever is writing the blocks is willing to censor.
Yeah, I mean, you could just also with who's running the infrastructure for Ethereum. I mean, you're going to have a lot more infrastructure moving on to AWS and onto similar unfortunate centralized hosting. And there's going to be a lot more reliance on shit services like Infura. And I mean, they've already started. Venezuela's blocked. Quite a few places are blocked now. And it's a load of bollocks. Complying with regulations is never a good idea.
Well, isn't almost 50% of something was already on AWS had to do with DeFi? Shit,
Yeah,
where did I put that?
That should just tell people why it's a shit idea, a shit space. Web3 is a scam, and to stay the fuck out of it. It's written, most of it is written in a piece of shit beta language. Solidity is still in beta. That runs on a sketch VM. This is not something you put production code out into. You just don't. Not if you're sane.
Maybe I'm not totally certain that I understand your feelings on the matter. Could you tell us in more detail what you really mean?
Okay, Solidity, the contracting language for Ethereum, is in no way complete, fully documented, or production ready. It's like taking an early alpha or possibly an early beta in this case and running your production site that needs to secure customer data on it. That's the equivalent of what's going on in Web3 at the moment. There are so few people who have real competency and skill with Solidity beyond the absolute basics that getting anything really done with it is more a matter of luck than it is anything else. And I mean, the number of exploits, bridges getting hacked, dot finances getting rolled, it's mind-blowing. It's even worse than the ICO craze in 2017.
Okay, so what you're saying is thumbs up or heart emojis if you think that Web 4 should be written in COBOL.
I wouldn't go so far as to say COBOL, but Java, Python, something like that. Something where people have an idea of what they're working with, and it's not in beta. There are plenty of solid VM solutions available that'll work with all of this if you want to make dApps and take advantage of decentralized infrastructure, etc. Apache, Spark, that's something we're working with on RTM. But I mean, there are a couple of other very decent candidates that can do the same thing as the EVM. EVM Web3 is big for one reason and one reason only. It was first, and nobody's had a chance to put out anything better. However, I haven't seen a single feature developed on ETH that wasn't conceptualized first on Bitcoin or in the Bitcoin development discussions. I find it a bad, unoriginal beta, but I'm very conservative about certain things.
And I can appreciate that. Yeah, I think with the merge, it is bringing up a lot of these questions of fundamental security, right, and fundamental censorship resistance. And we are questioning a lot of assumptions that people have sort of allowed themselves to take on over the last couple of years because of DeFi, so-called DeFi Summer 1 and DeFi Summer 2. You know, irrational money makes people irrational, right? Or helicopter money makes people irrational. So I think a lot of people have lost their inhibition and lost their conservative attitude towards blockchain. I think there were a lot more, by percentages, Big Piggy, I think there were a lot more participants in blockchain who thought like you did at that time. And now they'll just jump in at the, you know, the slightest whisper of, you know, free alpha and any kind of a token drop. And they don't care whether or not something has a sovereign blockchain or how it's secured or if VCs are totally backing it. Nobody seems to care anymore at all. And the merge is kind of helping us revisit that.
It's like Wall Street, like copy pasted, you know?
I mean, VC does not necessarily have to be a bad thing. It depends on what kind of control they exert over the projects and who it is running the VC. Because some of the VCs in the space are some of the original gangster people who would basically prefer to keep things as live and as decentralized as possible. But where it gets bad is when you've got basically regular more predatory side of regular investments coming into the space.
Right. I guess I mentioned the involvement of VCs as shorthand to, for the predatory VCs, because you're right. I mean, A16Z, like them or love them, you can't really hate them. They've funded almost everything. They've touched almost every project in the space, including very Bitcoin specific and legacy projects in the blockchain space. So like they're not good or evil. They're just a VC. They just are trying to hedge their bets by throwing money at everything. So I think we're going on about 2 hours now. Let me let's do this. Rabbit Mining, you got to jump in now. I apologize. We stomped on this live stream, so he's here now. But do you want to set a couple of additional topics so we taper off, or we shut things down at a specific time, or how do you want to do this?
Let's wrap things up unless Rabbit Mining's got anything to add to it, because much of this is going to be discussed in greater detail on September 10th. Not everybody that's in this call will be on there, but I welcome you guys to join us at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be a live stream event. So fact check us, call us out in the live chat, be on my channel, and probably have a couple backups as well. But yeah, no, we've covered a lot already between my failed Twitter spaces and yours. So we'll see how things go, man. Developers are thinking that they're in the clear. There's nothing to fear, nothing to worry about. It's a bunch of hoo-ha, and it's going to take. They're going to easily transition from proof of work to proof of stake. We'll see how that goes. There's going to be a lot of hash rate dispersing from Ethereum to various projects. I'm interested to see how that goes, as I'm sure many of you are, and there's a lot of security concerns and flaws in various applications, as was pointed out, and we'll see how the space goes.
I mean, how many people are now working on minor implementations to speed up proof of stake?
Oh, geez. Yeah, hardly any. I think the primary focus of the Ethereum core developers has just been trying to trying to pull block rewards away from proof of work miners. I don't think it's had anything to do with optimizing proof of stake at all. It's only been a giant middle finger to people who are doing proof of work.
Yeah, but if I'm not very badly informed, and usually I'm not, then there are people now working on speeding up proof of stake considerably.
There should be. I mean, that should be on the roadmap for Ethereum, but as far as what's been leading to the merge, the block time for Ethereum, if that's one indicator, the block time for Ethereum is moving from, you know, a nominal block time of 13 seconds to 12 seconds. That's definitely true, right? Like, can't set your clock by it still. Blockchains aren't metronomes, but an average block speed increase of 13 to 12 seconds, but no additional throughput, right? And the validators, at this point, I don't even know that it's something that the Ethereum core developers have helped to innovate. You've got several other EVM chains that have been doing this for a couple of years now that have been leveraging delegated proof of stake, and they've done so successfully without major downtime, without major problems or hacks or, you know, or instability in, at least in the consensus layer. And I'm just gonna say it, like, Binance Smart Chain, we don't love them. They're very centralized, but they got this shit done. They got it done before the Ethereum core developers did. So you're probably right. There probably is a bit of work going into speeding up proof of stake. Here's where I think there's an issue: the attribution. I don't think it's been the Ethereum core developers. I don't think that's been their focus at all.
Oh no, I'm not talking about that sense of speeding up proof of stake. I'm talking about the sense of speeding up proof of stake so that you run ahead of the pack with your validator.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. So you're talking about like MEV injections and flashbots.
Like front running?
No, front running is contract execution. No, talking about actually speeding up the proof of stake consensus. The proof of stake consensus is essentially still the proof of work consensus with a couple of different factors added in. You can always speed it up using better hardware. You can always speed it up adding something in, feeding something into the existing hardware to simplify the process for the existing hardware. So it's going to be hilarious once the merge hits and some of the validators rip off onto their own chain with most of the block rewards.
Okay, so you're talking about contentious. So in the same way that in early days of proof of work, there were all kinds of shenanigans being played by by pools and by pool operators and by large scale miners to mine empty blocks, for example, or just increase block rewards.
Like still today on PivX, where people point Quark ASICs at YAMP pools in order to speed up proof of stake. The same.
Wow. Okay. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, that's a rabbit hole that I definitely want to explore.
That's dirty. That's fucking dirty.
No, that's only dirty when it's not the team doing it, like on PivX.
The word I was going to use is brilliant. It's just, yeah, I know. It's sometimes people do things that are so devious that you have to tip your hat to them. Right? Like that's pretty awesome.
But there's nothing devious about it. It's the core developers putting out a shit product. End of story. If this can be done, it's a shit product.
Oh no, agreed. The fact that there's attack surface is what I'm saying, and then it's exploited by groups that are, I say devious again. Probably used the wrong word. My hat goes off to these to people who can take advantage of these exploits. In the same way that I won't dead name a friend of mine who was able to use MEV and flashbots to his advantage to the extent that he did, without mining, was able to make enough profit over the last calendar year that it funded a vacation for him and his wife and bought him a brand new motorcycle. He did great, right? Just with MEV, like outside of his mining efforts. Like if you can do that on a chain, if all that value is up for grabs, it's all on the table. I agree with you. It should be taken by enterprising people who figure out how to do so without harming others if they can, right? Directly harming other people. But
it's not harming anybody. It's just taking the output from the chain.
I mean, it's an exploit, so exploits are going to be exploited. And here's the thing: if the devs don't listen to people advising them, hey, there's a problem here, look at this, check this, and they just continue about their day not listening, then yeah, somebody's going to exploit it, and then it's going to be on them because they made a shit product, like Piggy said.
I mean, it happened on Bitcoin. They didn't listen to a guy who posted about a Java overflow. He went and overflowed it. And 12 hours later, they'd rolled back the BTC chain.
yeah, it'll be interesting times. At least the first couple of days or first couple of weeks post merge. Big Pig, yeah. Now I've got to ask. You're bringing up something, and this is worth exploring a little bit deeper. Maybe not going to the full depth of the rabbit hole, but do you anticipate that there's going to be a lot of this sort of arbitrage or this sort of like value extraction? Do you think this is going to happen in the first couple of days or weeks of the post-merge
of course. It's going to start off more or less immediately post-merge, yeah. Quite a few people have got setups in place for at least testing it live.
That's what I was going to say. They're already ready for the merge. They're ready to deploy.
What do you think that's going to look like?
I know of at least one GPU array that's ready for giving this a go.
Well, I'd love to talk to that person, whoever is running that GPU array. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
It sounds like your next episode is the rabbit hole with Big Piggy. That sounds like legit.
Well, I mean, it's been what, 2 years since we did our last live stream. I think we're long overdue, and this sounds like as fun a topic as any.
No, but I mean, I'm happy to talk about any of it for a while.
Yeah. On that note, now we've instilled, I think, enough reasonable fear, uncertainty, and doubt regarding the merge. Serpent, what do you say we taper things off?
Yeah, let's go ahead and wrap it up, brother.
All right, guys, this has been, I guess, this is the official Twitter space, kind of the pre-game for the live stream that Serpent has coordinated on September 10th, where it's going to be kind of a minor roundtable. We did this many months ago before EIP 1559. Serpent's bringing it back, so it'll be primarily proof of work and specifically GPU miners, talking about the merge, talking about what to expect, talking about prospects for projects you may want to speculate on or get into as high cap coins, as Alex mentioned before, Ethereum Classic, pros, cons there, deep dives with all the homies, a lot of friends, and then yeah, some controversial opinions too. So set your calendars for September 10th. And what time is that? And the time zone again, Serpent?
So it's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time was the best time for everybody to be there. So I know that's a little bit late for some, and I know that's a little bit early for others. That's why Tim and Micah couldn't make it, but 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
So there you have it, guys. September 10th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Set the date. Check out Serpent's channel on YouTube. There will be some fallback streams as well. I think I'll be streaming it as well. And then one or two others should be streaming it as well. So just meet us there. It's going to be a lot more of this, but a lot more in depth with a lot more fun, visual aids, charts. I think we're going to have a few spreadsheets as well. We do some projections, try to bring some hard numbers. So it's not just, it's not just op-ed, not just hanging out, but trying to bring the facts and trying to help you make the best possible decision post-merge. All right, guys, that's it. Thanks for tuning in.